and want to show other people how to do it, instructional videos, they've got a whole new thing going for themselves. So,
Sound effects. Sound effects.
Charlie's Green Room. You know, do you know what I'm trying to say?
I hear you. Yeah.
That
Welcome back to Cuppa CTTV.
Cuppa Tea.
And we are here in the Green Room in Charlie's.
That's right.
In Cork City with Mr. Hank Wedel. How you doing, Hank?
I'm good. How are you, Damien?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah.
Good to have you in Cork.
Thanks very much. Good
Great to be on Cuppa TV. I've got my cup here.
So we're in Charlie's in the Green Room.
In the Green Room. Charlie's is a pub of long time standing in Cork City on Union Quay, right next to the City Hall. And this is the Green Room. This is where the bands hang out in between their sets and prepare for their gigs, which take place outside this room here. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
It's a small venue, but it's funky, and that's important.
Yeah.
You know, that's very important.
Great character when you walk into where you can
Great
see
character,
it.
yeah. Great character.
Cool. So, for your own point of view, Hank, you were born in Dayton, Ohio.
I was, to an Irish mother from Mallow, who traveled to New York in the late 50s, like many other young men and women did. And she met my father, who was a New Yorker. They got married in 1962. I came along in 63. And I grew up in a suburb, Queens, in a place called Floral Park. It's right on the edge of the city boundaries, right next to Nassau County. New Yorkers will understand this, and anyone that's been in New York will understand that. There's like 5 boroughs, and we lived on the edge of Queens on Long Island, on 258th Street. And I went to a school there called PS 191, and but in that time between being born and then moving back here in '74, I traveled to Ireland a couple of times with my family. So I've been pretty much here a lot of my life, although I identify very strongly with New York City.
Okay.
And back in the 80s I went and played and lived there for a while, and through the 90s I traveled back and forth quite a bit as well. So I'm kind of caught between Cork and New York. I went to, so that you know, when we moved on a boat actually, we lock, stock and barrel, we went from New York Harbor to Cove, on a Russian liner called the Mikhail Lermontov, and it sailed out of New York, and one of its stops on its way to what was then Leningrad but is now St. Petersburg, I guess. One of its first stop was Cove actually. So I did the reverse Titanic trip and I didn't sink.
Brilliant. That must have been a very memorable trip for you.
It was amazing. It was quite a time actually as well, because it was on August the 2nd, 1974. And Richard Nixon was the president, and by the time we pulled in a week later to Cove, he had resigned on the back of the Watergate scandal, and Gerald Ford was the president. So that was quite a momentous time.
So how long was that trip?
It was a week long.
A week long, right?
A week long. It can be done in 5 days, but this is a liner.
Yeah.
And my parents decided rather than get on a plane and be here, 6 or 7 hours later, so it was a trip of a lifetime
Make it a trip, yeah.
make it a trip.
Cool.
Nice transition, yeah, actually. And I went to school then in Mallow, which is my mother's hometown. We all moved back here. I went to the Patrician Academy in Mallow. That's where I got my secondary education. And then in 1981, I started UCC here in Cork. And when I came up in 1981, I guess I was 18, but I had a very strong interest in performing and writing and playing and learning as much as I could about it. And I saw Cork as a way of doing that, and being UCC as a way of doing that, as opposed to my arts degree and my H-dip in education, which I got by 1985. But by that time I was pretty set on being a musician as well. So I qualified as a secondary school teacher with a degree in economics and history. And then in '86 I went back to New York to teach for a little bit actually, because 30 years ago, I guess 1987, that summer I started playing a lot in Greenwich Village. Like a lot of the people that have gone since the 60s, I wanted to see Greenwich Village where Bob Dylan and Joan Baez and people like David Crosby and McGuinn, and people with bands like The Loving Spoonful and Jimi Hendrix. That's where they all played. And I guess by 1987, it was only 20 years after that whole explosion happened, and it was still very vibrant. For me, it was very vibrant. Well, New York's always very vibrant anyway. and I love being back in New York. So I spent that summer doing that. But then I came back to Ireland to get married in 1987, and I was going to go at the end of '87. Got married to Eileen, and we went back. But then we came back here at the beginning of '88 because my dad got sick, and eventually he died that year. Then my eldest son was born. It was just maybe a grandfather, actually.
Oh, hey, big
Yeah,
shout
his
out.
grandparents, yes, yeah, little Sadie. Sadie is my granddaughter. She's just been born. But I found myself back here. And you see, when I was here in the 80s, I got involved with a bunch of fellas, and we called ourselves Princess Street, because we used to busk on the bottom of Princess Street here in Cork. And we ended up calling the band Princess Street. While I was in New York, I called the band Open Kitchen. We used to play in the Red Lion on Bleecker Street quite a bit, and we owned that place. Had a band called Open Kitchen, and we used to play with a guy called Tom Clark, who's another very good friend of mine, another great musician. And basically, there's that word again, basically, that's kind of the foundation of what I've been doing. I've had a band called Open Kitchen, which is basically, again, what I called my solo thing.
What would have been the first record that you bought?
With my own money?
With your own money?
With my own money. The first record I bought with my own money was Still Crazy After All These Years by Paul Simon. And my mother gave me money to go buy records for Christmas.
Was that in
I
Ireland?
bought it at Kelleher's Music Shop in Mallow. I was 12 years old. And it meant a lot to me because Paul Simon's very New York, and I had just left New York, and I identified even at that age very strongly with New York City. And I was in Mallow. And just to connect it to here, the musical traditions here are immense. You know, the music are immense. Like, you come here in the 70s, I was vaguely aware of Plankstein, the Botley Band, and, people like the Dubliners and the Wolf Tones and the Clancy Brothers. A huge presence. Not to mention in the 70s as well, there was bands like Horselips and Thin Lizzy, and, so yeah, that's definitely a big influence on me being here. And it seemed like, and it seems like even today in 2017 that a lot of people play, a lot of people sing, fiddle, guitars. There's a very healthy attitude towards music here, I think.
Yeah. I read a very, very nice interview you did with the Examiner last November.
Who's that?
You did.
Oh, that I did?
You did with
me.
For the Examiner,
yes.
correct? Yeah.
Yes, with Lily O'Byrne. She's a great journalist.
Very good interview.
Yeah.
The one thing I took from that was there was a line in there where you said you found a way to make a living in the industry without letting it crush you.
Right.
Could you maybe just elaborate on that and what your thoughts are on that?
Well, I'm still here. I'll be 54 next week. By the time anyone sees this, I'll be 54, and I've been at it for 30 years. And I love it, and I continue to bop. I could continue to want to bop till I drop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That type of thing. So, this industry can crush people. I don't want to go into it too much, but you got to be careful with your personal habits and your desires. I don't want to be too specific here,
Okay.
If you know what I'm trying to say here,
Yeah.
you got to be very, very careful. The basic thing, I think for me is I like learning and writing songs. It's as simple as that. And then once I do that, I like to go out and play it or teach people I play with the songs or have them teach me stuff. I love that more than anything else, and I've managed to make a living out of that by presenting myself, either in a small pub like Charlie's, or a nightclub, or a concert hall, and I've done it for 30 years, And I've just kept my personal destructive habits in check. Everyone's got them, everyone's got good habits, bad habits. I've tried to keep my bad habits in check, and I think the reason people get crushed is because, there's a lot of temptations when you're working at nights.
Gotcha.
And my ambition really has been to learn and perform songs.
You have a solo album out from last year. Let's talk about that a little bit.
Living in the Land of Love There you go, folks.
Love the art on it as well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's by my friend Sean.
Okay, just going to ask.
Yeah.
So you've been playing over 30 years, and it's your first solo album.
Yeah, this is the thing. People, I said that in Ellie's interview. People, a lot of guys and girls that I know, you got your first solo album, Hank. I think the reality is that I always call the band Open Kitchen. Now, there's been steady members, and I've worked with people and all that, but I guess I was always kind of shy of saying, "Oh, this is just me," you know, for years. And I changed my mind with this album. But there's great musicians on this album. It's not just me solo. It's really great musicians from Ireland, from Cork here, from Holland. You know, a couple of people from America that I know that are on it. Boo and Elena from the Demolition String Band. They're great friends of mine. Maybe they'll do Cuppa TV one day.
Yeah, bring it on.
Boo and Elena. That's right. Yeah. I like working with other people. I really do. Like I really only play guitar. I play piano very badly. I can work my way around the keyboard and know how to make chords and stuff. I don't know one's idea of a piano player, but I really do like working with the people, writing and getting songs together. I like getting into. I work mainly these days with a percussionist, and I like that a lot because we've been playing together a long time. His name is Brian. He was in Princess Street with me, and really get into guitar, percussion, and the two of us kind of doing harmonies from time to time as well. Like, you know.
So Hank, at this stage of the show, I'd like to ask a random question of the week.
Right. Okay.
So if you're willing to answer one.
Okay. Random question of the week.
Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. So if you could have a ticket for any show or any event anywhere in the world, music, sport, or otherwise, what would it be for?
I guess I'd like a ticket for the Rolling Stones concert coming up. That's too easy for me.
If you're listening.
You know. It's rumored they're going to play in Dublin soon. I'd like to see the Stones before they stop rolling. All the way they're going, they might roll for another 20 years.
Yeah, it looks like it.
You never know. You never know.
So anyone that wants to obviously check out your music that hasn't already?
YouTube, Facebook, all the usual. If you punch my name into Google, you'll see a whole bunch of stuff, you know. The band is available on a thing called, the album is available on a thing called Bandcamp. But just as you know, I haven't put it up on like iTunes or Spotify or anything like that. I think I'm going to do that this year. I know I'm going to do that this year. I'm going to put out another single. And I'm going to have a couple other things up my sleeve to kind of promote the album. Kind of pretty much give myself a year to promote it and before I move on to do something else.
And then in terms of songwriting for yourself,
yeah.
Obviously you've collaborated with Mary Green on the single,
yeah.
on that album.
Yeah.
How does that start, or what's the process for you in terms of writing songs?
Well, Mary would come to my house and she'd have a few ideas and I'd have a few ideas and we'd try this, that and everything else. And you know, we read lines out to each other and try to make the lines complement and play the guitars and try melody lines by singing and record it and see what we got. And that's the song Too Gone Too Young, which was the last single off the album. That was written in about 20 minutes. Mary would come to my house and we'd have a cup of tea. And we'd wait for my wife to come home. And we'd have lunch. And, you know, she works in a local preschool. And then we'd try the song again after. And Mrs. goes back down to her job, and if it sticks, it sticks. So that's kind of the way it works.
I read somewhere, actually, the process for writing that song in particular, that you were sitting down talking about a person that you knew.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
The words came floating in.
Came floating in because there's all the rules about songwriting that you might read if you're interested in it are basically true. You know, write about what you know. That's true. Write about what you know, because I mean, if you don't do that, there's a good chance that you'll be caught out. You know, or people will understand that you really don't know what you're talking about. So that's true. Write about what you know, and you know, there's other things. Like I believe John Lennon said, if you have an idea, finish it, no matter what it takes. Don't stop until you're actually sure that you've finished it. People like Bob Dylan say that, you know, write some couplets. You know, a couplet, have a line. Just do it, write it, and then spend a lot of time doing it. But I think the other thing about songwriting is well, I've written a song that I haven't recorded. It's called "The Time We Share," and there's a great band in Dublin called Cuppa. Have you heard of them?
Yeah.
Cuppa, very good friends of mine, and the lead singer in that band, his name was Ronan Snuddy. He and I have worked one way or the other through the years. He's a great songwriter. He writes songs in the Irish language, but he also writes songs in the English language. And I said, look, I got this thing here. And I didn't even say I didn't have a chorus. He said, he was like, you know, what have you got? And I said, so I started playing this thing. And he came up with the chorus. You know, it's all about the time we share. And immediately, bang, I started singing that. And there it is, it's a song. And I get most gigs now, even though I haven't recorded it, if I play it, I get able to sing along. So it's very satisfying artistically and personally, you know, to do that. So that's why I do it. You know, I really don't do it for any other reason. I mean, you know, if you want advice for anyone, going back to the thing you were talking about, advice and what it's like to make it, I think the one thing you can do is find out where all the income streams happen. You know, you can get royalties and you can get licensing deals and there's all that sort of stuff. If you are a songwriter and you want to be professional about it, you owe it to yourself to make yourself aware of all that stuff. I think a lot of people get burned because they don't realize, you know, the details, the small details that make it important. I've always kind of been aware of that. Not that I've made myself like incredibly rich, but I know it's helped me through, as well as playing gigs and getting paid for gigs and that, you know.
I could keep talking to you all day.
All right.
Well,
how many cups? The tea's gone cold.
We need a bigger pot of tea.
Yeah. But there's great musicians all over Cork City. There's great musicians all over Ireland. I hope you get to meet them all.
It's
been wonderful talking to you. I feel like I've rabbited on too much, and like I said, anyone that knows me will have heard a lot of these stories. But you haven't heard them, and maybe some of your viewers haven't heard them.
Correct, and that's
I'd love to see it at some of the gigs. And like I said, I've got this new album, Living in the Land of Love, and the songs will explain a lot about where I'm coming from. So if you get a listen and you come to a gig, ask for your favorite song.
Magic.
There you go.
Thank you very much. Will you give us a song right
I
now?
will. I'll give you a song off the album now. Sure.
Nice one.
I'll tune up.
Yeah.
Here in Charlie's Green Room. This is a song called In Your Dreams. There's someone else in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. There's someone else in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. We pay the rent, we pay all the bills, we walk for miles over mountains and hills. But there's someone else in your dreams, I know, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. There's someone else in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. We go together, we go ahead. Got this good thing going. Yeah, but when we go to bed, I know there's someone else in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. There's someone else in your dreams, I know, in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams. Come on, wake up. beside you, yeah. Please wake up, your dreams can't hide you, no, no. In your dreams, 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 in your dreams. We share the meal, we sip the wine. I am yours, but you're not mine. Because there's someone else in your dreams, in your dreams, in your dreams, in